Good morning, everybody. Matt Modi here with OddsJam, here to give you some college hoops bets for today. College basketball best bets for today. Using OddsJam to find these positive expected value bets, just trying to find value wherever we can find it, whether it's an incredibly important, very good NFL game, whether it is a random college basketball game. Value is value, and value is the same across all sports. So the first play that I'm going to lock in here just to get right into it, and I absolutely love this play. I think it's a really, really good one. Coastal Carolina +5 against South Dakota. So the bet itself is at -110 at PointsBet, and let's chat about it. So the first things first, the most important thing here, and this doesn't involve any math or calculations on your end, just an important concept to understand why the product itself is such a valuable tool and why it's so powerful. These no-vig odds here. So when you're scrolling through, you see this column that says no-vig odds. So what does that mean? These odds in this column here are pulled from the sharpest sports books in the world. The sports books that consistently, over the course of time, do the best job at pricing odds. Those sports books, their odds feed into these no-vig odds. So they're viewed as the true line of what a market should be priced at. I like to call it the OddsJam perfect line. And these sports books, the sharp ones weren't determined anecdotally, right? They weren't just people being like, hey, I think that these are the sharpest. I heard these are the sharpest, whatever. It's been, they were calculated by back testing thousands and thousands of betting opportunities. So these numbers have been tested thoroughly to determine that which sports books are the sharpest, and that's why it's such a big tool, such a valuable tool. Because basically, if you just kind of sum it up, we're basically saying, hey, over the course of time, these X amount of sports books did the best job at pricing odds. So we're going to use them to set the market moving forward for future betting opportunities, and then we're going to find sports books that are outliers to those sharp sports books. In this case, Coastal Carolina +5. All in all, equates to a profit margin of 2.93%, an EV percent of 2.93, can also be viewed as your expected profit. So in this play, I recommend putting one unit on, a full unit, 1 unit, Coastal Carolina +5, -110 odds. For me, 1 unit equals $100. I would profit about $3 from this individual bet. You add $3 across a bunch of different plays, and you kind of start to understand the long-term success and profits you can make from positive EV betting. And then what you want to do, so actually let me back up. The math itself, like I said, you don't really need to calculate anything. The no-vig odds, the book that you're betting it at, the EV percent, you can look all that in about 4 seconds. The additional work that I recommend doing to make sure that you're placing the best of the best profitable bets, if you click open a play here, which is exactly what I've done, you pull up where every sportsbook is pricing this play at. So there's a couple things you want to do. You also want to open this event page in a new tab, which I have up here. But when you click open a play, I'll start with this. It pulls up where every sportsbook is pricing the specific play that you are betting, which in this case is +5 and -5. So let's compare our bet to the rest of the sports books, right? We got it at -110, +5, -110 odds. Look at every other book and where they price it. DraftKings, -130. DraftKings -140, -140. BetRivers, -130. Pinnacle, -129. Every book that prices this has it pretty significantly as the more likely outcome than the -110 we are getting at PointsBet. Average odds, -127. Best odds, which is what we got at -110, that's a good price. And then you want to view this event page in a new tab because it pulls up where every sportsbook prices the main line of the market we are betting. So not only do we want to see where every sportsbook is pricing Coastal Carolina +5, but where does every sportsbook have this spread in general, right? Not every sportsbook is going to have it at 5. And as we can see, every sportsbook that prices it has it at a number below +5, and we're taking the plus money, or the +5. So we see books have it at +4.5, which is BetMGM, PointsBet, Caesar, or FanDuel, BetRivers. Actually, no, BetRivers doesn't have it. They have it at +4. We'll get to that. Bookmaker, when this is very important, Bookmaker is a sharp sports book. So in terms of sharp books that we use to make sure that we are betting on outliers, Bookmaker is one of them, has it at +4.5. Then we see books have it at +4. That would be Caesars. That would be DraftKings. That would be Betfred. That would be BetOnline. And BetOnline is another book that we use as a sharp one to help set odds. Has it at 4, as does BetRivers, as does the Pinnacle line. So all in all, in Pinnacle, let me say, is the sharpest sportsbook in the world. So in terms of what sportsbooks to look out for to make sure that you're an outlier to those, Pinnacle, Bookmaker, and BetOnline. Well, Pinnacle and BetOnline have it at +4. Bookmaker has it at +4.5. The only sportsbook that has this at +5 is PointsBet at -110 odds. So it's not like you're accepting, it's not like you're buying points for this one, right? You're getting it at their main line at -110. So this is an awesome play here. Coastal Carolina +5. It's my favorite bet for this college basketball slate tonight, but it's not the only one we have. We also have an example here of 3 plays that are all positive EV. Northern Kentucky -8.5, -8, and -7.5. And I get a lot of questions about what to do in situations like this. Should I take all 3? Should I just avoid it? Should I take one? If so, which one? And there's a couple different strategies here. None of them is better than the other. One strategy is take all 3. If one of them, if they're all positive EV, then they all should be placed, right? If they're all good bets, then you shouldn't avoid them. And yes, if they don't cover, let's say like the lowest one looks like it's -7. If they don't cover 7 points, then you had a bad night, specifically tonight. But the goal of sports betting is to make the most money, right? You want to make money. So more often than not, if every single one of these is positive EV, if they win by 9, you had a great night. And more often than not, you will have a great night versus a bad night, and it'll even out in the end. So as long as you're willing to accept the variance of having bad nights if they don't cover the spread, it'll work out in the long run. That's one option. If you're more risky, that's your option. The next one, just take the one with the highest EV percent. You don't want to take every single one because you don't want to have that much risk on the one play. Totally fair, totally understandable. Just take the one with the highest EV percent. It represents the biggest value, so just take that one. Whoops, and in this case, that would be the Northern Kentucky -8.5. And that's my general strategy. So that's going to be the official bet that I recommend for this video. But for those of you that want to take -8, -7.5, and -7, that wouldn't be a bad idea as well. So this play, the no-vig odds are basically at +139. We are getting it 6 cents higher at +145, giving us a pretty good price. And look at the other sports books, the most important thing here. BetRivers, +123, Pinnacle, +121, DraftKings all the way up at +145. This one, this Coastal Carolina one, these are considered no-brainers. When you're getting this type of value, it's a no-brainer that you should lock it in every single time. So Northern Kentucky -8.5 as my second one, and then my third and final play, a play that I really, really like, Miami of Ohio +16.5 against Cincinnati. This is another play on PointsBet. This one is at -110 odds as well, and it's just as good of a value as the previous ones. The no-vig line prices this at about -113.5. We are getting it at -110, so there you go, the gap. Look at all the other books. DraftKings, -130, BetRivers, -127, Pinnacle, -128. A nice outlier compared to all 3 of those books. Now let's open this up in a new tab and see where other sportsbooks price it. Bookmaker and BetOnline have it at +16, so a half point lower, as does Caesars, DraftKings, Betfred, and that's it. And then we also see books have it at 15.5, which would be BetMGM, which would be FanDuel, BetRivers, and Pinnacle. So the 3 main books that we use to set lines, BetOnline, Bookmaker, and Pinnacle, all pricing it below this +16.5 that we are getting at PointsBet. So this will be my third and final betting pick for today for college basketball specifically, and that's going to be it. So if you're tailing any and all 3 of these, comment and let me know. Other than that, enjoy the games tonight and have a good one.